I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot.
Seafarah, no one can understand what you're saying right now.
I am Groot.
Look, I don't care if you have subtitles. You're not a talking tree.
I am Groot.
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark here and say that you're reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy #1 and just playing this all up for laughs, right? Please say yes.
I am. Yeah. Hey, wait.
Ha! Made you stop saying that you're Groot. Now, the score is 1 to Zenith, Seafarah 0.
Zenith!
Come on, man, don't feel so bad. I mean, you couldn't expect to fill in a 20-minute video just saying, I am Groot, and just putting in subtitles. I mean, have you tried editing subtitles before? This is the reason why I don't get History of One Piece out on time, because it is nightmarish to edit those.
You're right. Would have taken too long to edit anyway.
Exactly.
Before we get to the credits, I have one last thing I want to say.
And what, pray tell, is that?
I am Groot. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This team is proof that if you take a ragtag band of people from various backgrounds and planets, put them into space, and have them fight those who would disrupt peace, they will be a great team and have even greater stories. Or just be a bunch of people saving the galaxy because, hey, they live here too. However, this isn't the first team to bear that name. Does anyone know what time it is? Time for backstory. The original Guardians were created in 1969 by Arnold Drake and Gene Colan, and their stories took place in the distant future, the 31st century to be exact. It was a time where hostile aliens were threatening all life, and since many of Marvel's greatest heroes were long gone at that point, a new team arose to become the galaxy's mightiest heroes. The story centered around an alternate version of Vance Astrophic of the New Warriors, who called himself Vance Astro, and his ragtag band of heroes. See the difference? No? Well, just accept the fact that this group is from the far future and has little to nothing to do with today's ragtag band of heroes. They just share the name. In fact, a chance encounter today's group had with the classic team inspired the group in the present day to become the Guardians of the Galaxy. Talk about your predestination paradox. Great Scott indeed. The team had various guest appearances over the years, became Avengers, and had a decent run in the 90s. This team had its great moments. By 2008, an all-new team took center stage. The team associated with the 2014 team was created in 2008 by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning in a bid to reinvigorate Marvel's cosmic line of titles. Along with the Guardians, we had new books starring Nova, the Silver Surfer, and others. Even Darkhawk eventually got a cosmic makeover too. The creators saw how much of an impact the characters had in various storylines, such as Annihilation, which also revitalized Nova, and waited for the right time to give these characters who'd become the Guardians their own book, since they achieved a lot of popularity. Their #1 goal, as said by Bill Rosman, would be to prevent any further Annihilation-style catastrophes from happening. The book did well and ran alongside Nova and other cosmic books until it was relaunched with a new #1 issue as part of Marvel Now. When are they gonna stop calling it Marvel Now? It's getting annoying at this point, what with all the reboots, the renumberings, the reimagining of characters. It's, like I said, really annoying and really hard to keep up with. Personally, I think the in-universe explanation of how the 2008 team formed is better. Less corporate, and more aliens were involved. In the wake of Annihilation Conquest, Star-Lord, who was one of the lower-tier Marvel heroes of the 70s, wanted to form a team who would be proactive in protecting the galaxy. To this end, he recruited Gamora, Drax the Destroyer, a man who lost his family thanks to Thanos and wants revenge, Rocket Raccoon, who was an alien resembling an Earth raccoon, Groot, who was a sentient, tree-like alien prince who can only say 3 words, I am Groot, and other heroes who came and went from the team, like Quasar and Adam Warlock. Even our old buddy Nova helped out from time to time. This comic comes to us written by Brian Michael Bendis, who you might remember from my Ultimate Spider-Man #1 review. There he created a whole new overarching story for Spidey's origin in another reality. Since then, he had been responsible for comic events both good and not so good. You win some, you lose some, I guess. When it comes to the Guardians, though, Bendis promised to bring this cosmic group of heroes closer to the main Marvel universe, since before 2013, the group had been relegated to being in the far distant corners of the galaxy, dealing with threats before they ever even reached Earth. Because, hey, why would you want someone who could spot trouble light years away before it reaches our tiny little planet? That would make sense, wouldn't it? I guess it's time to see just how well Bendis pulls off this coming home party for the Guardians in Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Yeah, I know it's the variant cover. I couldn't get the original cover. Whatever. Here's the regular cover for you. Peter Quill, the Star-Lord, is pointing at the reader, urging his friends below him to march headlong into battle. From left to right, we see Groot, Rocket Raccoon, Iron Man, Drax, and Gamora. Hang on. Computer, go back a bit. Iron Man. Nice cosmic armor, Shellhead. That is bound to scare some children. The art here is decent as the team looks dynamic and ready for action with their fearless leader right behind them. Well, why are we wasting time on this cover? Let's take a look inside. We open in the middle of nowhere. Seriously, that's what it's called. It's the head of a giant alien space god called Nowhere. Give Marvel points for creativity, kids. Anyway, we start with Peter Quill chatting with a local lady in a cantina. First, Captain Marvel #1 has Star Wars references, and now this. I wonder if Peter Quill's gonna shoot first. The two continue talking when Quill notices someone entering the bar. Someone who really angers the young man. It turns out it's Peter's dad, the King of Spartax, and he has come to discuss things with his roguish son. The king here wants his son to stay away from Earth, and Dad says, I know it isn't easy to stay away. Heh, I love his comeback. I remember you came to Earth, knocked up my mom, and then abandoned her and me. This is the second video in a row where someone has daddy issues. Makes you wonder if Kurt and Pete are gonna form a support group. The king says that he's all about saving Earth now, and of course Quill doesn't buy it for a nanosecond. Quill's dad fills him in on what's really happening. A galactic council of empires has come together to declare Earth off limits, as Earth needs a fighting chance to be a part of galactic civilization. The only way it could happen if it's left alone. The only rule is that no one is to set foot on Terran soil, and that includes him. This has to be the same council that thought making Earth into a prison planet, like in the crossover Maximum Security, was a good idea. That didn't turn out very well. And neither did the crossover, for that matter. Quill agrees with me. He says how doing this might as well paint a huge target on the Earth, and pretty much dare any and all hostile aliens to come in and cause problems. Daddy Darius snaps and demands his son to take his rightful place as Prince of Spartax. Quill stands up and declares how he doesn't like how his dad made his empire, and vows that he won't become a prince. In fact, he says to his dad, go Krutak yourself. I don't think we need a translator for that word, do we? They continue arguing and hear a loud crash. Wow, splash page time. Gamora, the galaxy's deadliest woman, just took out the King's entire entourage. Remind me to stay on her good side, okay? Gamora says that she was just trying to help, and Quill explains that the group was just leaving. As he leaves, Father Knows Best over here says that he gets updates on him and his band of quote-unquote thugs. Quill keeps walking, and his father keeps yammering about how much good he could do as a prince, instead of running around the galaxy with a bunch of thugs. King Spartax, Jason, whatever your name is, there is a, custom here on Earth that says that if you're yelling at someone and they're just, like, walking away from you, they don't want to hear it. Elsewhere in space, our favorite shellhead Iron Man is enjoying himself in his fancy space armor. Something is off with this suit. The armor just seems wrong without the traditional faceplate. He's talking about how space is a great place to get away from it all. As for me, I'd rather take a vacation on a beach somewhere, as we'll see in a couple seconds. Space may be nice and all, but you never know when someone's gonna show up and cause trouble. Ever watch Star Trek? Sure enough, he's targeted by a Badoon starship, which frankly looks like someone took some dinner plates, slapped them together, and called it a starship. All I ask for is a tall ship that carries a decent meal. Stark tries valiantly to fight the ship, and of course the blasts bounce off the shields. His computer says that another ship is approaching. Oh, this is a sweet 2-page spread. The Guardians fan out from their ship with their weapons blazing. Wait, how is Drax breathing in the cold depths of space without any protection? Groot too, for that matter. Are they just so powerful that they don't need a silly thing like air tanks? Oh, and look at Rocket here. Small raccoon with a big gun. I don't think he's here to play. Stark, though, welcomes his new allies. The Badoon freak out a bit, as well they should since Drax is redecorating their hull. Rocket seems to like Stark's new look as he and the others advance on the windows of the ship. On the bridge, the officers suggest a hasty retreat, but the captain wants to continue fighting. I doubt even Captain Janeway would approve of this strategy, pal. Both Stark and Quill wonder how and why a Badoon starship appeared out of nowhere when Rocket gets a crazy look in his eye. I think he's gonna make something go boom. Yep, looks like they have a hull breach and in goes Groot. In my head, Groot saying, "Here's Johnny!" Of course the space lizards want to continue fighting. What is this ship? The USS Lost Cause? The USS, Glutton for Punishment? I think we're gonna go with that one. Apparently Stark and Quill were supposed to meet at these coordinates because of Daddy Dearest, and because trouble with the Badoon would have arose anyway. And Shellhead here wants answers. Before Quill can answer, the captain still wants to fight, and orders the crew to stand their ground, even though Gamora just decapitated their navigator. Captain, there's going down with the ship, and then there's outright stupidity. Uh-oh, it looks like the captain has set off the self-destruct sequence. Quill then orders everyone back to the ship, but not before it goes boom. Everyone is thrown around, and Star-Lord manages to catch Stark. Rocket then notices something is amiss. Groot is gone. Oh no! Star-Lord orders everyone to fall back, but Drax doesn't want to leave anyone behind. Gamora is still fighting, and Rocket is still frantically looking for his tree friend. Groot, don't be dead, don't be dead. I won't have a joke if you're dead. Please don't be dead. Everyone made it back to the Guardian's ship, and Rocket finally finds a stick. What's left of Groot. Kids, he'll grow back. I am Groot. It looks like the Badoon hopped into another spaceship in the confusion and resumed heading towards Earth, as both ships arrived near our humble blue planet. Inside the Guardian's ship, Quill wonders why his dad would leave it unprotected and announce it to the galaxy. Gamora feels that he was set up since he knew Earth would be attacked, and Quill would do the opposite of what Daddy Dearest said. Our comic ends with Gamora saying that if his dad can't have Earth, that as far as he's concerned, they both can go to hell. Again, talk about your daddy issues. Let's take a closer look at Guardians of the Galaxy #1. This comic is decent in that it sets up the storyline for the Guardians. I know we don't learn that much about them as a team, including their origins, and the writer assumes that the reader has been following the team from book to book. Then again, we do get a few nuggets of information here and there. We know that the intergalactic government do not look kindly on the Guardians, despite them saving them from, pardon the pun, annihilation every time some intergalactic nut job decides to try and take over the place. We also know that Star-Lord's dad is an intergalactic douche. That seems to be enough for fans old and new. Adding Iron Man into the mix may seem to some like Bendis is trying to link this comic to the regular Marvel titles a little too hard. I don't see it that way. I actually like it when Marvel heroes acknowledge that they're all sharing the same universe. Stan Lee had it right in the beginning, since he said that all of their heroes should share the same reality and sphere of influence. It gives characters a chance to encounter each other, banter a bit, and then fight the good fight. And while space is vast, I welcome the Guardians to the core area where the likes of Earth's mightiest hang their hats. It shows that while they can go off into the final frontier, they are still part of a larger universe. Even after Iron Man returned to Earth, the likes of Captain Marvel and Agent Venom have helped the Guardians out. Overall, the plot of the comic is that it looks like Earth's in danger because Star-Lord's dad and the Council are kind of being jerks. And you know it's going to take a few issues for it to be resolved. I don't really take an issue with this either. Remember in Ultimate Spider-Man how Bendis took forever to get to the origin of Spidey in the Ultimate Universe? As a writer, Bendis tries to drag a story out and add more meat to it. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Don't get me wrong, I don't like stories that drag on as the next guy. Here it works. I read this comic, and I want to know why the Badoon are attacking as Quill feared they would. Why is his dad such a jerk? Hey, what if the King of Spartax hired the Badoon to attack Earth in the first place? Think about that one. Any good writer will tell you that you need to hook the reader in, and I think that this book does it because I actually want to know what's going to happen. You could say that this movie has all the makings of a summer blockbuster. Funny thing about that, the comic does manage to introduce readers to the characters without bogging them down with backstories. We see Gamora as an assassin, Groot and Rocket's relationship, Drax being a destroyer, as well as Quill's daddy issues. Speaking of the King of Spartax, it looks like he's going to be a recurring baddie because of his and the Council's actions regarding our small blue planet. The daddy issues are going to be a minor plot thread as the Guardians have to deal with the huge bullseye Quill's dad put on Earth. And from what we saw with the Badoon, no one is going to listen to the ruling. Besides, like Gamora said at the end, Quill's dad could just be messing with him. I have to admit that Bendis does a good job in setting things up for future issues. It'll be drawn out, sure. At least it'll be fun. We have a new story that readers can jump into, and while the background for the Guardians is lacking, we get snippets of who these characters are, and a taste of how the science fiction adventure will play out. With that in mind, the scene has indeed been set. The players are ready, and I am quite confident that the Guardians can deliver as this series seems to be a great science fiction epic starring the superstars of Marvel's cosmic line. Guardians of the Galaxy #1 is a good comic. If you want to pick up Guardians lore, check out trades like Annihilation or War of Kings. You won't be disappointed. Until next time, I'm Seafarer, and I am Groot.